On March 1, 2026, the Middle East erupted as the United States and Israel launched Operation Epic Fury, a massive, coordinated assault on Iran. The campaign aimed to dismantle Iran's nuclear program, cripple its missile capabilities, and neutralize its naval forces. This was no limited strike. It was a full-scale attack designed to reshape the region. President Donald Trump, speaking from Mar-a-Lago, declared the operation a response to decades of Iranian aggression. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth called it the culmination of a long, one-sided war. The strikes were planned in deep secrecy, with intelligence agencies tracking Iranian leaders for months. The goal: deliver a blow so decisive that Iran would be unable to retaliate effectively. American and Israeli forces executed the attack with seamless coordination, catching Tehran off guard. The world watched in shock as images of destruction emerged. Operation Epic Fury marked a radical shift in US policy, from containment to direct confrontation. The decision to strike alongside Israel heightened the stakes and risks. The attack was both a military operation and a political statement. As the first salvos landed, the world braced for Iran's inevitable response. The fragile balance of the region was shattered in a single night. The consequences would be global and immediate. The most stunning result of the initial strikes was the death of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei. His sudden demise created a power vacuum, plunging Iran's leadership into chaos. US-Israeli forces had executed a true decapitation strike, eliminating dozens of top officials, including former President Ahmadinejad. The aim was clear: disrupt Iran's chain of command and cripple its ability to respond. An interim council, led by President Masoud Pezeshkian, scrambled to restore order and select a new supreme leader. The process, usually tightly controlled, now unfolded under the pressure of war. The world watched to see if Iran's new leaders would seek peace or escalate further. The targeted assassinations drew global condemnation, with many calling it a dangerous violation of international norms. While the US and Israel celebrated a strategic victory, the long-term risks were unknown. The decapitation strike may have won the first battle, but risked igniting a far more brutal war. Iran's future was suddenly uncertain, and the region teetered on the edge. The world waited for Iran's next move. President Trump directed the crisis from Mar-a-Lago, using social media to frame the conflict as personal and decisive. He boasted, "I got him before he got me," referring to Khamenei's death. Trump's posts and interviews emphasized overwhelming strength and retribution, claiming dozens of Iranian leaders were eliminated in one night. He linked the operation to his own political battles, making it clear this was his war. In contrast, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu maintained a measured tone, focusing on national defense and diplomatic outreach. As American casualties mounted, Trump's rhetoric hardened. He warned Iran's military, "Lay down your arms and receive full immunity, or face certain death." The world saw a stark contrast: Trump's bravado versus Israel's strategic messaging. The conflict's narrative was shaped as much by social media as by missiles. Trump's war room was a gilded ballroom, but the stakes were deadly real. The world watched, uncertain how far the escalation would go. Iran's retaliation was swift and fierce. Hundreds of drones and missiles targeted not just Israel and US bases, but also American-aligned Arab states across the Gulf. Dubai and Abu Dhabi were hit, shattering the illusion of safety in the UAE. Air defenses intercepted many projectiles, but some struck iconic landmarks, causing casualties and chaos. Saudi Arabia's Ras Tanura refinery burned, and Qatar's gas production halted after Iranian strikes. Shipping and energy markets reeled as the region became a war zone. In Kuwait, a friendly fire incident downed 3 US jets, highlighting the confusion of war. Iran's strategy: inflict maximum economic and psychological pain, forcing US allies to pressure Washington for a ceasefire. The attacks united the region in fear, if not in purpose. Tehran gambled that by targeting the Gulf's prosperity, it could force negotiations on its own terms. The regional escalation risked drawing in the entire Arab world. The war's front lines now stretched from Iran to the heart of the Gulf. The message was clear: no one was safe. The conflict had become a regional inferno. The world's economy trembled as the Gulf burned. Hezbollah, Iran's powerful proxy in Lebanon, unleashed a barrage of rockets on northern Israel after Khamenei's death. Sirens wailed in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem as Israel faced a two-front war. The IDF launched Operation Roaring Lion, striking Hezbollah positions across Lebanon, including Beirut's suburbs. Israeli air defenses worked overtime to intercept rockets, missiles, and drones. The northern border became a closed military zone, with mass evacuations ordered. The fighting mirrored the 2006 war, but with even higher stakes. Lebanon, already in crisis, was dragged deeper into conflict. Civilian casualties mounted as urban areas were bombarded. For Israel, neutralizing Hezbollah was as critical as dismantling Iran's nuclear threat. The two-front war stretched Israeli resources to the limit. The conflict's brutality was felt on both sides of the border. The war's true victims were civilians. In Minab, Iran, a US-Israeli missile struck a girls' school, killing 148 and wounding nearly 100, an incident that sparked global outrage. In Dubai, missiles shattered daily life, killing and injuring dozens. Ordinary people, workers, tourists, families, were suddenly on the front lines. The psychological shock was immense, as safe cities became war zones overnight. Violence spread beyond the battlefield. In Karachi, protests at the US consulate turned deadly, deepening sectarian divides. Hospitals in Tehran were damaged, and cyber attacks crippled emergency response. The humanitarian crisis grew as infrastructure collapsed and aid faltered. Modern warfare's grim truth was clear. Civilians bore the greatest burden. Their suffering became the war's most enduring legacy. War in the Gulf sent oil prices soaring and markets into panic. The Strait of Hormuz, vital for global energy, became a battleground, pushing Brent crude up 13% overnight. Fears of prolonged conflict threatened a 1970s-style energy shock and global recession. Stock markets tumbled, while defense stocks surged. Iranian strikes on digital infrastructure exposed new vulnerabilities. Shipping halted through the Gulf, creating instant supply chain chaos. Airlines grounded flights, stranding thousands as airspace closed. The economic pain rippled worldwide. Higher fuel, food, and goods prices hit households everywhere. The war revealed just how fragile global stability truly was. A regional conflict had become a global economic crisis overnight. The world's response was fractured. Europe scrambled to evacuate citizens, while the UK reluctantly allowed US use of its air bases, prompting Iranian retaliation. Russia and China condemned the strikes but offered no military support, leaving Iran isolated. In the US, public and political opinion was deeply divided, with only 27% supporting the war. Congress debated Trump's authority, exposing deep national rifts. Unexpected alliances formed. Ukrainian experts helped Gulf states counter Iranian drones. Iran's leaders rejected talks, blaming Trump for the chaos. At the UN, Iran accused the US and Israel of grave violations. The world split into uneasy factions, hoping to avoid being drawn in. The crisis exposed the fragility of global alliances and the unpredictability of modern conflict. As the war grinds on, the future remains uncertain. Trump predicts a short conflict, but Tehran rejects talks, raising fears of a prolonged war. The decapitation strategy may empower Iran's hardliners, risking insurgency or regional escalation. No clear endgame exists for a nation of 80 million. Economic fallout will fuel inflation and unrest worldwide. The war has normalized preemptive strikes and assassinations, rewriting the rules of global conflict. Whether peace comes soon or not, the legacy is already one of instability and danger. The path to peace is longer and more perilous than ever.